There were so many amazing games that came out on the Nintendo Switch and all the other consoles this year, and as such, I can't play all of them. I'm just one person and I have my own tastes and interests, but lucky for you guys, we've got a very varied video here because I have 6 of my favorite content creators here, including YongYea, John from Spawnwave, Jake from GameXplain, Andres Restart, Nintendo Memories, and Skootish here to tell you their favorite game of 2023, and we're going to take it away with YongYea. So YongYea, what's your favorite game of 2023? Let the people know.
So I truly believe that Baldur's Gate 3 deserves to receive all the accolades that it's been getting. I truly do think it deserves to win Game of the Year at the Game Awards. But for me personally, if there's one game that felt real special and really stood out, it's got to be Armored Core 6. I'm an avid lover of mechs, and I've always been disappointed to see just how little mechs are represented and how dormant the mech genre has been throughout the years. And so to see the mech genre come back in such a big way, to see FromSoft just absolutely knock it out of the park and bring back the mech genre in such a big way, to see them just absolutely nail the mech customization, which genuinely impacted the way you approach gameplay in certain challenges, to see this game have such fluid and intuitive controls that made gameplay feel, easy to pick up but hard to master, to see the game feature such awesome spectacles when it comes to boss battles that were also just really challenging in a way that hit just right for someone like me who loves to be challenged with boss battles. This game just had everything that I wanted from Armored Core 6. It had everything that a mech lover could want, and it just delivered a really comprehensive package with a full-fledged experience that I think would satisfy just about any mech enthusiast such as myself. To see them return to Armored Core and for them to modernize it in such an amazing way, it was just cool to experience. And yeah, this was a game that straight up, I could not put down from beginning to end until credits rolled. It had its hooks in me and it never let go. And it stood out to me in a really big way. So I gotta give kudos to Armored Core 6 and the folks at FromSoft for nailing this.
Armored Core 6 looks really interesting. I don't know if it's my type of game, but I think something so great about this year is that there were so many different games for so many different people, and that really cannot be understated. But you know what is just about for every single person, especially if you have a Nintendo Switch? Satisfye. This video is sponsored by Satisfye. Thank you so much for sponsoring this video. Let me tell you guys about them real quick. So Satisfye basically makes the most comfortable grips known to mankind, because if you have ever had the, I guess it's not pleasure, but the pain of playing your Nintendo Switch without a grip, it does not feel very good. I used to sit there and play Fortnite for hours, and my hands would cramp up and they would go numb, and I was like, I need some support when I'm laying here in my bed having to play handheld mode. And before I even played handheld mode, you know what I did? I sat and I put the Switch in between my legs, and I'd sit there with my Pro Controller while I was angled so I could still see the screen. It was really ridiculous what we had to do before the Satisfye grip came out, but now we've got Satisfye's brand new Zen Ronin grip, and why I was always hesitant about grips before was the fact that a lot of them, you have to take them in and out constantly. The beauty about this grip is that your Switch can essentially just live inside of it. Now, this thing can be docked. It has a case that goes in it, so you pretty much never have to take this thing out of here. And that, I think, is why I love this grip just as much as I do, because I find it pretty annoying to have to constantly take your Nintendo Switch in and out of things. Seriously, check it out, especially for the holiday season. If you just got a Nintendo Switch, this is pretty much a must-have accessory for it. So check them out. They will be linked down in the description below. Thank you so much, Satisfye, for sponsoring this video. And now we're going to hear from John from Spawnwave, as well as Jake from GameXplain, because the two J names ended up having a very similar pick. Well, it's not even similar. It's the same game. So I'll just let them tell you about it.
Favorite game of the year? I'm going to assume that 80% of people went with The Legend of Zelda, so I'm going to go with Spider-Man 2. I really enjoyed Spider-Man on the PS4, and Miles Morales, I thought, was a good game as a smaller title to sort of bridge the gap to Spider-Man 2. And Insomniac took just about everything from the first entry and improved on it across the board. The traversal is probably my favorite part, though, with swinging momentum paired with the wingsuit, getting you around New York City incredibly fast. Combat was also bumped up, with gadgets getting a heavy emphasis for Peter, at least until the symbiote comes into play. Miles uses his venom powers in new ways, and you're able to switch back and forth between the two characters at any time in the open world between missions. Speaking of the symbiote and Venom, the story is going to be a huge highlight for longtime Spider-Man fans, with Insomniac getting their shot at putting Venom in a game, and they didn't disappoint. There are some amazing moments that I don't want to spoil, but some of the deeper lore that Insomniac pulled from, with not only the main story, but the side quests that are certainly worth seeing through, are genuinely surprising at times. And if nothing else, know that I did get the Platinum Trophy in Spider-Man 2, and Sony might as well put that on the back of the box because I'm like the anti-Platinum Trophy person. I keep this around just to annoy trophy hunters. I mean, seriously, this would take me like an hour to knock out.
Hey everybody, Jake from GameXplain here, and my game of the year for 2023 is Marvel's Spider-Man 2.
Why don't you set it free? I'm just here to save my friend.
Now let me hit you with the two main reasons I loved this game. First, it's not afraid to reinterrogate what people loved about the original. We all remember the immaculate web swinging of Spider-Man 2018 and how it made you feel like Spider-Man, but in the sequel, they give you a suite of new maneuvers and abilities to make it more expressive, and the new web wings make flying across New York City way more active, as you're always looking for ways to best make use of them. And likewise, Spider-Man's combat has also been refined. Insomniac trashed the gadget wheel that would freeze everything anytime you pulled it up and opted for hotkeys instead, meaning you're always maintaining the flow of battle, just like Spider-Man. But my favorite thing about Spider-Man 2 has to be how its narrative is perfectly suited for a video game. The story is constantly upping the stakes and scope, so it feels like an all-thrills roller coaster. But what makes it special is that every time something meaningful happens to a character, every time there's an emotional catharsis or a revelation, there is a new gameplay element introduced alongside that moment. This makes the story beats more powerful, memorable, and meaningful for me as a player, because I'm not just seeing something dramatic happen, I am dealing with those consequences on the sticks in the gameplay. Spider-Man 2 knows when to be loud and epic and when to be quiet and sentimental, and for those reasons and more, it is my game of the year for 2023.
Yeah, Spider-Man looks like a very, very cool game, and I am excited to eventually dive into it. It's on my backlog right there. But a game that I have played, and I'm sure most of you have played, is about to be, I don't want to spoil it, it's about to be talked about by Nintendo Memories and Andres Restart, so take it away, guys.
When talking about my personal game of the year, I feel I should mention Prime Remastered, Pikmin 4, Mario Wonder, all fantastic experiences that definitely helped to enrich my 2023. But there is a game that stands above them all, and it is Tears of the Kingdom. For a variety of reasons. It's this big, massive Zelda adventure, which has an incredible beginning that really sucks you in, and there's so much to do and explore throughout the game. And the way they improved on things over Breath of the Wild with more boss variety and dungeon variety, and the way they built up the characters and the story, there was a lot more going on throughout the experience, and it felt there was an actual relationship between Link and the sages and Ganondorf. And then the way it all came together at the end. I would argue that that final phase, the final fights, and then what happened afterwards, all together, is maybe the best ending in gaming, or it's at least in that conversation. That's how good it is. So, Tears of the Kingdom is a spectacular game. But something else about it that I feel I should mention is that, yes, there are issues. I'm not going to pretend like there aren't issues, but I also had issues with Breath of the Wild. And yet, over time, I grew to love Breath of the Wild more and more, because every time I would go back to it, I would find myself lingering, making more discoveries, just enjoying the playground that is Breath of the Wild, and just continually learning more and more about the game and just enjoying it as time would go on. And with Tears of the Kingdom, I feel something similar is happening. I've had my issues, but as I revisit the game, I'm discovering more, I'm thinking about it in different ways, and it's just increasingly becoming more and more fun the more creative I get about my experience. And so, with that all said, Tears of the Kingdom is my personal game of the year.
My favorite game this year has been The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. I really enjoyed Breath of the Wild. It was such an amazing game, and I was looking forward to this sequel ever since it was announced way back in 2019. I loved all of the new abilities that this game had to offer. My favorites are Ascend and Fuse. Using those while in combat, as well as exploring the vast amount of caves in this world, is so much fun and makes getting around a lot easier, and it keeps the action moving. Along with these new abilities, I was really happy to see Eiji Aonuma's vision that he had for Skyward Sword completely realized. It was actually planned to have Skyward Sword's world to have a seamless transition from sky to surface, but due to the Wii's limitations, that couldn't happen. So it's really awesome to see all of that fully realized here in Tears of the Kingdom. No loading screens and a completely new world added with the addition of the depths. I spent so many hours down in this place and even encountered some nightmare fuel along the way. Thanks, Nintendo. Another thing I enjoyed a lot about this game was its dungeons. Even though it wasn't the traditional Zelda dungeons that the series has been known to have, we did get colossal-sized temples again, and I couldn't be happier. And the bosses, oh my gosh, the bosses. How can you not get hyped for a boss fight after hearing that? All of the bosses, whether it be Colgera, the Gibdo Queen, Goma, Mutterok, and even Phantom Ganon, they were a huge step up from Breath of the Wild. Finally, one of my favorite parts about this game, the return of the Demon King himself, Ganondorf. 17 years since he's been in a Zelda game, with the last one being Twilight Princess, and the fact that he's back and more powerful than ever just made the game extra special for me. His voice acting by Matt Mercer just makes him incredibly terrifying from the opening parts of the game, and his final boss is absolutely amazing, and I won't spoil it for you just because if you haven't experienced it yet, you're in for an amazing final ride. For me, Tears of the Kingdom lives up to the hype. It's an amazing sequel and a great Zelda game, and I'm excited to see where the series goes next after this. And if you haven't played it yet, what are you doing?
Now, Tears of the Kingdom is a very good game, and I'm very happy that it was talked about here. I think there's a lot of online discourse about people being angry about it and whatnot, but at the end of the day, I love it, and I think a lot of these other creators really enjoyed it as well, so I'm happy we can come together and appreciate it for what it is. But now I know what you're asking. Josie, what is your favorite game in 2023? We haven't heard yours yet. I know, it's coming right now, and I have two for you because I get a bonus one because it's my video and I'm going to do what I want. So, the first one we have is Mario Wonder, and I think this game is absolutely amazing. I was really surprised that nobody talked about this game, but it's so much fun just from start to finish. First of all, it's an amazing return to form for the Mario series. We have had new Super Mario Bros. For the past 20 years, and they pretty much suck. So getting a brand new Mario, basically Mario like acid trip type deal, is so much fun because I feel like it draws a lot of the creativity from these like fan-made levels in Super Mario Maker, and like really just spruces them up and brings them into this really amazing new style of game. The art style is beautiful, the gameplay is magnificent, and just the changes here make this experience so dang fresh. I highly recommend picking up this game if you haven't already, especially if you just got a Nintendo Switch, and if you like games to play co-op. I think this is one of the greatest ones to play on the Nintendo Switch. It does away with like that crappy like bouncing on each other's heads, throwing each other all over the place, and it just like refines it to pretty much an absolute science. So I highly, highly, highly recommend that you check out Mario Wonder. And with that masterpiece out of the way, I'm going to throw it over to Skootish to tell us about his favorite game of 2023.
In the year 2023, there are so many great and amazing video games that came out. And, you know, I feel like it's obvious for me to like a Nintendo game because I'm a Nintendo guy. I feel like a lot of the people that I know are Nintendo people. But my game of the year in 2023 is not Tears of the Kingdom. It's not Mario Wonder. It's not even the Mario Kart Booster Course pack. No, it's a game that I shouldn't like. I don't like scary things. I like happy, bright, good, feel-goody things like Mario and Zelda. But no, my game of the year is Alan Wake 2. For whatever reason, this insane, crazy, convoluted horror game has just enraptured me in its crazy twists and turns and spooky scaries. And I really don't like scaries. I scare myself all the time when I play it. There's constant jump scares visions and things that aren't there that just pop out at you and are meant to just terrify you in your little pants and you pee your pants a little bit, but that's a normal thing to do because fear sometimes makes you do uncontrollable things, and that happens to everybody. Everybody pees their pants a little bit when they get scared. It's not just me. How dare you think it's someone else? How dare you? Everyone does it, right? Alan Wake 2 by Remedy Entertainment is one of the finest games in the world. With its humor, its heart, not shying away from what it wants to show you, it truly does something incredible and special in the gaming space. I know Baldur's Gate 2 is a better made game, but if you just want to sit down and be driven with a story, Alan Wake 2 is the game for you. It is simply one of the best games in 2023, full stop.
Alan Wake for sure looks interesting, and maybe someday I'll check it out, but let me tell you about my favorite game. I've shouted it from the rooftops. Everyone should know. If you watch these videos, you should know. My favorite game of 2023 is Pikmin 4. Now, Pikmin 4 was an excellent, excellent release, in my opinion. Number one, people were waiting for this game for so long. The hype had built itself so high, and when this actually dropped and released, I think in my personal opinion, it lived up to just about every bit of it. Now, I'm not a traditional Pikmin person necessarily. I really like 3. I'm going back and playing 1 and 2, but Pikmin 4, I think, is the absolute pinnacle of the series. It brings back things that people have been asking for, like caves, and introduces new things like a night mission mode and like Dandori battles, which can't constantly change up the gameplay. Let's be honest here, though. The night missions were not as expected. However, I think it's a good stepping stone, and I'm very excited to see where Pikmin goes in the future. I'm also hoping this sells like absolute gangbusters so we can hopefully get a new Pikmin game in the future. But as a whole, I think Pikmin 4 is a really amazing package. Ochi is such a fun addition to the cast of characters. Every Pikmin you've ever liked is in this game with all of these different things to do. It is just so much fun, and there's a ton of post-credit content. So if you haven't already, please check out Pikmin 4. We need this bad boy to sell, guys. Give us Pikmin 5 sooner than 10-15 years, please. I'd really love to see it. But thank you guys so much for checking out this video, and thank you if you're in this video. It means the world, and I really truly appreciate it. You can check out all of them. They're going to be linked down below as well as in the cards, and if you enjoyed the video, obviously subscribe and drop a like, and I will see you in this video. It's a banger. It's a vibe. Say it with me, everybody. It is a good time, and I will see you over there. Thank you so much. Goodbye.